It might not happen anytime soon, but don't be surprised if the Steelers add some more firepower before the offseason is over. In a recent episode of Sportsline with WNBS George Von Benko, Pittsburgh Post-Gazette Steelers reporter Ray Fittipaldo highlighted a few positions the Steelers may look to upgrade before the start of the season. "I think number one is free safety," Fittipaldo said. "You trade your starter in Minkah Fitzpatrick, and yes, you have someone like Juan Thornhill behind him who has a lot of starting experience, but Juan Thornhill isn't coming off his best season." Free safety appears to be the Steelers' biggest concern currently. As Fittipaldo explained, after trading Fitzpatrick, the team doesn't have many options. Right now, Thornhill is penciled in as a starter, and that is less than ideal. He's coming off possibly his worst NFL season with the Cleveland Browns, looking like more of a fringe third safety than a starter. Still, you have to believe that the Steelers have gotten a good look at Thornhill from being in the same division, so maybe there's some meat on the bone there. If the team does decide to add to the room, there are some compelling options in free agency. Justin Simmons is the most notable name of the bunch. At 31 years old, there's some tread on the tires, but he still provided solid play as a starter in Atlanta last season and would give the Steelers a ball-hawking free safety. My preferred choice would be Justin Blackmon. Younger, faster, and better, Blackmon can play both safety spots, opening up some flexibility for the team. Moreover, he's a sneaky physical player and would pair nicely with Deshaun Elliott. Fittipaldo did list another position the Steelers may look to upgrade. Number two is receiver, he said. "I think right now they could probably get by with DK Metcalf, Pat Freiermuth, Jonnu Smith, and Calvin Austin III as your top four targets in that offense. But if one of those other receivers gets hurt, it's pretty thin behind your top four receiving targets." Fittipaldo noted that he wouldn't be surprised if the Steelers targeted a WR2 type with a little more juice than what they currently have. If they were to make that type of acquisition, it would almost definitely need to be in a trade. The free agency market for receivers has dried up, which means the Steelers need to play matchmaker with another team. Could that be Jawan Jennings, who is unhappy about his contract situation? Or maybe someone like Romeo Dew, who has been caught in an overcrowded Packers receivers room? Whatever the answer, the Steelers' wide receiver room continues to look like it could use a boost. Cleveland Browns legend Joe Thomas says that in order for Aaron Rodgers to work with the Pittsburgh Steelers, he needs to humble himself to earn respect in their locker room. There's not many quarterbacks that have a bad year coming off injury, as they're getting really old and their third or fourth team and have found success, Thomas said on The Rich Eisen Show. Can they get the locker room around him to buy in? Earlier on in his career, and even when he went to the Jets, there was a lot of hoopla, and it was easy for veterans and players to all buy in. I think the aura around him is kind of gone at this point. He really needs to humble himself a little bit to find a way to get the rest of the locker room to buy into what he's selling. Rodgers, 41, committed to a workout program in California to help keep his body in the best shape possible before heading to Latrobe for training camp. After resolving personal issues before signing with the Steelers, Rodgers has turned his full focus to football over the last month. A few weeks ago, Rodgers hosted multiple Steelers players in Malibu for an off-season gathering. Now, he is seen working out to sharpen his game in a season where he'll turn 42 years old. Many have speculated that Rodgers might have one foot in and one foot out after he took so long to sign with the Steelers, but Cam Hayward says that is not the case at all, and during the 3 days he met with Rodgers at mandatory minicamp, everything was positive. It just felt like he is bought in, and it worked out for the best, Hayward said on The Rich Eisen Show. "I know sometimes we live in a society where we want things now, but patience has a way of paying off. And to now see he's a Pittsburgh Steelers and just him walking through the locker room asking questions how we do things. He's bought in, and that's all I can ask for a quarterback. As a teammate, I'm excited to go work with him." Rodgers had 28 touchdowns to 11 interceptions in 2024. He went just 5-12 in his starts with the Jets, and even after they acquired Davante Adams, they went just 3-8. It was a tough season for Rodgers, who also had multiple leg injuries. The NFL draft often produces first-round quarterback who entered his final college season flying under the radar. The guy who wasn't the five-star recruit, last year's starter, or power program arm who soaks up all the headlines. A year ago, The focus was on Georgia's Carson Beck instead of Miami FL's Cam Ward. In 2020, when Jake Fromm had all the preseason hype, Joe Burrow went from afterthought to #1 pick in a 12-month span. The 2026 NFL Draft could break the same way, and in CBS Sports' latest mock draft, the Pittsburgh Steelers happily benefit. In the site's too early mock draft, the Steelers select Indiana QB Fernando Mendoza with the 14th overall pick of the 2026 draft. His arm talent really shone, said analyst Mike Renner of Mendoza. For a Pittsburgh Steelers team that plays in an outdoor division, Mendoza is the perfect type of quarterback to fit into that offense. In a world where Pittsburgh is unable to pick in the top 5, a late riser like Mendoza is the perfect scenario to still offer a potential franchise quarterback. Transferring from Cal to Indiana for 2025, his numbers at first blush don't pop. Last year, he threw only 16 touchdowns across 11 games for a Golden Bears team who failed to even crack .500. Blame a poor roster, not Mendoza, for that. It was the worst I saw of any quarterback when I went through summer scouting, Renner said of Cal's porous offensive line. It was basically if he hit his back foot and the ball wasn't out, he was getting hit on that play. His offensive line was not going to give him a second, third read. Cal quarterbacks were sacked 50 times a year ago, tied with Oklahoma for the FBS worst mark. That's despite the Golden Bears finishing only 41st in passing attempts, far from the most throw-happy offense in the world. Mendoza simply lacked time in the pocket, hurting his numbers and the team. Still, he managed to throw for over 3,000 yards and complete almost 70% of his passes. Now, he'll play for offensive guru Curt Cignetti and a rising Hoosiers program. If selected in the first round, Mendoza would become the third Cal quarterback taken in the top 32 since 2005. Jared Goff went #1 in 2016, while Aaron Rodgers, the Steelers' 2025 starter, fell to the Green Bay Packers in 2005. In 2003, Kyle Boller went 19th to the Baltimore Ravens. If not Mendoza, our Jonathan Heitritter noted other dark horse candidates to be in the 2026 running. Arkansas's Taylor Green, Iowa's Mark Gronowski, and Oklahoma's John Mateer all made his list. In the CBS mock, 2 quarterbacks went ahead of the Steelers' picks. The New Orleans Saints selected LSU's Garrett Nussmeier #1 overall, and the Indianapolis Colts took Penn State's Drew Aller at #8. 2 quarterbacks went after Mendoza. The Los Angeles Rams nabbed Clemson's Cade Klubnik at #27, while the New York Jets, in a mock trade with the Philadelphia Eagles, selected South Carolina's Lon Sellers at #32. That made for 5 quarterbacks taken in the first round.